So what is up, guys? So I told you guys that I would review the handheld that I've been testing for the past month. So I actually went with the ROG Ally. Now this is that weird like little thing that comes in the box. They expect the console to stand on this thing, which it actually does. It's a little cheap, like, I mean, it's cardboard, but it works. The console itself comes with 16 gigabytes of RAM. This one is actually the Z1 Extreme processor model from 2023, so you'll get the Z1X chip, which can push about 30 watts when plugged in or 25 watts whenever off on battery itself. Now, I will say that you will need a 65 watt power adapter, which comes in the box, but it's not as portable as you think. It is literally a cable strapped to a box and you can't like unplug it or do anything like that. But Asus is pretty nice, allowing us to get a USB-C port on the top. We also have an SD card reader and a GPU expansion slot, as well as a headphone jack. Now, I'll grab the console itself and we'll get talking. So this is the console itself. It has some pretty cool designs on the back. I will say that the LEDs look really nice on the front. The only disappointment about this thing is actually the bezels on the display, which I'll put a close-up of the bezels of the display. But the display itself is going to be a 120 hertz LED display, or LCD, I should say. It's not LED at all, especially with these thick bezels. But you got some back shoulder buttons, such as the M1 and the M2 chip. No, not Apple. You also got the joystick, the D-pad, and of course more joysticks and ABXY buttons, and RT, LT, and RB and LB. So overall, pretty great experience. The major downside with this is that it comes installed with Windows. Now there are ways now that you can actually install SteamOS or Valve Deck OS, different things, Linux. You can install Linux on this thing. But overall, I haven't really had a problem with running Windows on this thing, especially just because I don't have to, go around Steam and report over all my games. Like, the nice thing about this thing running Windows is that you're able to access Xbox Game Pass, EA Play, Epic Games, and Steam, of course, all in one go. So I definitely think it's nice. The console actually does have the SD card slot, which actually still works. I remember people saying that the SD card slot actually has a problem because it gets too hot or something. But so far with this unit, the SD card slot has no problem. But let's test it out and I'll actually show y'all some gameplay over on the stand right now. So I'll throw up a picture of the ports on the actual video. The screen itself, it's very reflective. However, I did put a non-reflective coating screen protector on it. So I think it actually looks pretty good. But you're going to have a fingerprint reader on the top on the power button, and we're able to log in normally just fine. So now that we're logged in, we can actually open ArmoryCrate SE right here, which already comes pre-installed on the handheld itself. Yep, this is probably my favorite part about the whole thing. These lights are actually able to be customized and turned off. I'm actually going to turn them off for this video just right now, just because they're a little annoying and they're out of the way. The lights themselves, I haven't really noticed any battery drain with them. So far, these are the games I got. Again, the console itself only has a 512 gigabyte SSD. However, you are able to actually upgrade it to 1 terabytes or 2 terabytes with some carriers and creators. There are a couple of DIY projects out about that. Over here, of course, you have different settings, like you have your performance mode, your turbo mode. You also have many other modes such as silent and custom. Then you also have your orientation, so you can set it to desktop or gamepad. Preferably, I put it on auto just because it's a little bit easier to navigate everything. You can also show your keyboard just in case the keyboard doesn't show up whenever you click on a bar or a typing bar. You have your FPS limiter. You also have the CPU boost. You can turn off your mic. And then, of course, these settings can actually be all adjusted from over here. So you can adjust or add more settings if you need to. These are probably the only 10 that I actually use on the regular, but you are able to come over here and you can edit the lighting, or you can like make it, beat to music and different things like that. So let's load up a game. Normally, whenever I'm loading up a game, I actually prefer to go into my favorites, which has all of my launchers, just because I've found it to be a little bit more of a smooth experience rather than launching them from over here. Now, it does work if you launch them from over here, but sometimes it either doesn't log me into my Epic Games account, or it will open Epic Games and say failed to launch the title. So preferably, I just like to go in here, launch Epic Games. Now, I'm not going to play a game to show you guys how it works, obviously, but I'll show you guys some of the caps. With Fortnite, I've actually been able to run DirectX 12, and I think it actually runs a little bit smoother with DirectX 12 just because DirectX 12 allows the console to generate textures and different things like that as you are walking, rather than it trying to load it all in at once with DirectX 11. So again, as you can see, we are running Fortnite right now. And then up here, actually, it will show you all of your stats, such as battery and different things like that. Battery, what watt your CPU is at, FPS, and many things like that. However, you can also change these values, and you can go in here and you can actually change how big you want it. So you can actually make it minimal, which is what it's at right now, or you can extend it, which basically gives you a larger reading and how much work your GPU and CPU are actually pushing out. But then you can also make it advanced, and it will show you actually everything, all the readings and different things like that. I've actually preferred the minimal design just because you know, it's minimal and it's not really in the way of all of my games. But as you can see right here, we're hitting about, actually it won't even tell me probably until I load up a game. So as you can see right here, we're actually hitting about 77 FPS. Now in Fortnite itself, you can go into the settings and change how much FPS you actually want. You can go to 60, 30, and 120. I've actually been able to run it at 120 and just actually turn the FPS cap over here to 90, just because I don't think it runs as smoothly on 120, and also it uses a lot more battery and a lot more power if you're trying to run it at that speed. Also, here is your ArmoryCrate SE stats. So it just went away, but that will actually just give you everything that it's doing, and you can actually adjust everything from there too. And ArmoryCrate, again, is easy to open with just one click of a button. But I'm actually going to close out this app, and I'll get into more about the battery, because I feel like that's one of the main issues with this console itself, is just the battery. Close. I like that part, is that you can close applications from here, or you can show window, different things like that. But let's get back to the desk. So no, I didn't just get the ROG Ally to play Fortnite, LOL. But it does run very smoothly, and Fortnite is a very graphically intensive game, especially if you play the new Star Wars season. Do I think it runs great? Yes. Yes, I do. Now, there are a couple of games that I've had a couple of, troubles with, like EA games and different things like that. But as always, settings are actually able to be edited in the game itself. Like Marvel Rivals is a great example. I've been able to balance between low and medium settings, just based on if I'm plugged in or not. Preferably, I prefer low settings, and it actually runs great. It doesn't look terrible. Again, I'm not really as graphically oriented. Like, I don't care about ray tracing that much. I think ray tracing is sort of a joke of this next generation. But overall, I think it is a great handheld. For the price of it, I think that Asus could come down just a little bit, especially because this hardware has been released in 2023. And the last generation was 2024, and it's now $800. Now, the nice part about that handheld itself is that it is dockable to an external GPU. Now, Asus charges about $1,000 to $1,200 to actually get your hands on that external GPU, but you're able to, say, dock it to the TV or hook a mouse and keyboard up to it, because again, it is just a Windows device that is basically strapped to a controller. Now, you don't need the external GPU to connect it to a TV. You can, of course, buy a dock and dongles that will allow you to connect it to a TV. Preferably, yeah, you should get an Asus dock if you want to, but you do not need it. It's not required. And I actually think there are a lot of great companies that make third-party docks for the ROG Ally itself, that there's no really a problem. The LED lights are pretty neat. I haven't really noticed any battery leaks from whenever, trying to use them. I haven't really noticed as much battery drainage. I will mention that the battery itself, whenever I'm running turbo mode, it's been able to survive about an hour and a half. Performance mode, I've been able to get around an hour and a half to 2 hours based on what game I'm playing. Forza is a great example. I actually did download Forza Horizon 5 on it when I first got it, and Forza looks great on it. The textures look awesome. I was able to run Forza at around a low medium setting, but again, Microsoft is actually really good at customizing the settings to your benefit of the PC itself and the hardware. And so personally, I think that Forza ran well. You were able to see all the ray tracing elements, even though again, don't care about that. I'm not really a pixel peeper, so I don't really care about that. But it's pretty amazing what it can do. And if you can find one that's used, especially for what I found it brand new at $480, I think that it is worth it. Do I think it's worth it to buy it for $650? Maybe. Depends how much you love Windows, because there are other handhelds out there, of course, like the Legion Go S, the Legion Go. I'll throw up a list, but there's a lot of gaming handhelds. And so personally, I think that handheld is a great handheld. I was able to cloud stream Cyberpunk 2077 and play it at 30 FPS and it was running fine. But again, that's in the cloud, so it's not really using as much power as it would if I was, doing different tasks on my computer itself. The silent mode. Don't play your games in silent mode. It does not work. Unless it's a small game like Power Wash Simulator, because I did want to try out silent mode. It's either Power Wash Simulator, Rocket League, or Minecraft. Those actually run really well in silent mode just because they don't require as much wattage, and 10 watts is honestly perfect for it whenever it comes to doing something like that. But preferably don't do silent mode just because it's not going to run out enough power and it's definitely going to make your game look very choppy. The SD card slot reader, I haven't noticed any, wrong things about it, but it definitely might, let up on me and suck in the next couple of months because it gets too hot. But so far, it actually hasn't really gotten hot, and Asus has actually fixed the bugs that caused it to, draw so much power and use so much power. So I don't see the problem. Overall, guys, let me know what you guys think. Again, those buttons are all programmable and you can actually adjust everything from the ArmoryCrate SE app. But let me know what you guys think about the handheld that I chose. I think that it's, a deal breaker from the Switch. Just because, look, I think the Switch had a great value for it, but I definitely did not think that the games were that worth it. And if I can play all of my PC games and Xbox games and some PlayStation titles on that ROG Ally, then I think I like it a little bit more. But let me know what you guys think. Obviously, definitely smash that like button, hit that sub button. I'm going to be missing for maybe a couple of weeks just because I'm going to be out of town. But I'm graduating, so I think it's kind of deserving for me. Maybe the next time you'll see me, I'll be editing a new video on a new Mac. So yeah, let me know what you guys think and hit that sub button and I'll see you guys around. Peace.